Invictus, my kings, welcome to another part of the Napoleon Total War DarthMod Italian state playthrough, yes. And today we are back, yes, we are back to go against the French. Our armies are set up today with some artillery, finally. But we are ready to head off and we are ready to attack, first of all, Corsica, then Strasbourg, Picardy, and the Netherlands, yes. We're ready to go in, to go all out, as well as I have an army ready to go against Switzerland if they join the enemy. But, oh, somebody's texting. But first of all, we want to cancel trade agreement with the French, yes, and then go to Spain and break alliance with the French. We definitely don't want them joining any old skirmish. There we go. French Empire, Kingdom of Spain alliance broken. And let's actually go to the Suez and offer him the same terms, because if I could avoid a conflict with the Swiss at the moment, I definitely will. And yep, there we go. Alliance broken. I keep breaking these alliances. It's a very great feature in it's a very cool feature in Napoleon Total War that you can just break alliance. It honestly is something that was missing from Empire Total War, but there we go. We are ready to declare war. Yeah, power, terrifying, well, spectacular, wonderful. So we are about even with the French there. We can unlimber, whatever. Disembark our troops over there. Let's auto-resolve this fight. Victory, very, very nice. Picardy is ours. We go against the Netherlands. The Russian fleet actually blockading the port. Very interesting. Against the Netherlands. Netherlands secure, peacefully occupy. Very nice, very nice. Don't need an artillery foundry over here. Can disband that. Can disband that. Can repair that. And finally we move against Strasbourg. Now there's a little bit of an army here, so let's get ready to battle. Alright, here we go. Okay, shut up. Don't need you. Here we go. So let's set up our artillery a little bit. We want to set them up a little bit on a hill, so maybe over here would be good. Yes, we want to set up our infantry just before them, so that just ahead of them, or rather, so that we don't see. If we march forward really fast, that's actually a good setup. Good setup. Let's deploy our cavalry on the wings. The general should be somewhere in the middle. Let's keep him in the forest just in case. And then let's march forward and let's rush our guys forward so that the artillery blasts don't hit them. So let's see if they hit them actually. No, it's working fine. Okay, so we have a little bit of an artillery exchange. Finally got some artillery into the army. They are 12-pounders, so they should be a little bit better than what the enemy has brought, which are 6-pounders. Again, they like bringing their 6-pounders because that's the basic artillery that you get once you actually build an artillery foundry. You get 6-pounders, so they always bring 6-pounders. But here we go. Here's some reinforcements. Let's actually charge our cavalry towards them, since they are just artillery pieces for now. Maybe the enemy will bring something extra if we let them. We let them replenish. But we have some armed citizenry looking mightily British over here, so I'm not entirely sure what that's about. But our artillery should do nicely over here. See no friendly fire, forcing the enemy to act. Maybe you aren't forcing the enemy to act. Maybe we just march forward, let the artillery cover our ass while we do so, and yeah, let's just march forward steadily, calmly, nothing to worry about. The enemy hasn't set up their artillery yet, so there's no rush really to move on or anything of the sort. Again, I don't understand how this works. The cavalry is clearly there. Why aren't they dealing with the enemy? Why isn't there a big old combat? There we go. There's the action. Okay. I was getting worried a little bit over there, like what the hell's going on, right? Like it's I don't know. With the artillery pieces, it's always been a bit of a mystery to me what exactly is going on with that. Let's actually go for a barrage. We have so many of them. And it looks like artillery is mostly targeting their artillery, but we're doing a fine job of actually smacking their army around. So why not? Why not continue? There we go. There's a route with the horse artillery. 12 pounders beat 6 pounders apparently, obviously. And on the flanks, they have decided to put armed citizenry on their flanks, which isn't a very bright idea. We're gonna have a field day with them. There we go. There's the enemy cavalry going for a charge over here. So let's quickly form squares, and they decided to F off before we even got the chance to kill them. Very good for them. Very good for them. No reason why we should really compromise on our line like that. So let's march forward under the cover of artillery this time, for the first time finally. Really is a game changer. This thing can just fire all day in Napoleon. There's no ammunition for it for some reason. No idea why the developers chose to give no ammunition to artillery, even though it's such a strong force in Napoleon Total War. It really is a mystery. But anyway, that was their decision, not mine. Just something to keep in mind if you ever play Napoleon Total War, is that the artillery absolutely rocks. Let's actually target. Can we target their general? Horse guards. They actually have horse guards. Very interesting. But let's target their infantry. No reason to keep it targeting their artillery, because that's something that's just gonna waste time. We have already destroyed quite a lot of their artillery, but we need to get a move on, target their infantry. See, the armed citizenry completely folded at the first sight of combat, because they're just they're not units you want to put on the flank. They're units you want to put in reserve to fill in gaps, maybe to tank a charge or something like that. But they're definitely not units you want on the flanks of your army. Maybe in the very rear is the fine line, is the fine, or even the first line. You want them to get in the action, absorb a shot from line infantry, and then rout essentially. But you don't want them on your flanks, because that never works out too well. But here we go. The battle for Strasbourg continues, and the armed citizenry have decided to return from fighting. They have lost actually half of their units completely, even before they inflicted any sort of damage on our units. They are crushing. They actually have. Oh, there's a French garrison. So, Regiment of Foot French garrison. So they have only garrison units. But you know, one thing that's really good about Napoleon Total War is that you do, or Napoleon DarthMod, or rather, is that you actually do get some proper units as garrison units. You don't only have armed citizenry as garrison units, which it's actually something that later was very much rectified by Total War in general, by giving, for example, you have legionaries as garrison units in Rome 2 and stuff like that. Let's see, target the center, barrage, there we go. There we go, we're actually managing to hit some of their artillery as well, and some of their cavalry with the barrage. But yeah, the artillery definitely is a game changer. No, we would have probably won the battle regardless if we... Because one thing is that those two extra cavalry infantry units would have served us just as well as the extra artillery. It means that you can flank your opponent more readily. But the artillery is just so overpowered when it comes to dealing out damage that they actually have a general as their armed citizen, as their general is armed citizenry. Very interesting. That means that they can form a square, and means that the cavalry can readily charge on ahead. No worries. They'll probably rout here in a second. They actually have two generals. Oh yeah, because one of them is reinforcing, of course. Yeah, but they actually have horse guards. Let's take a look at how they look. Oh yeah, they have those fancy little armors. Very nice of them. Very nice for them. Very nice for them. Too bad we don't have any stuff like that. But here we go. Let's move up against the armed citizenry. And let's continue flanking the opponent. Let's continue with the envelopment, the good old envelopment strategy of Napoleon Total War and Empire Total War always works. And especially against the AI, and if you bring extra infantry you can envelop even more, but that's the trade-off. Either you have more artillery or more enveloping infantry. Cavalry in Napoleon is pretty decent, but it isn't it's not as if it's a game changer. You can form squares in these games, remember, which is basically it nullifies completely the enemy cavalry completely. You just form a square and there you go, you win. So cavalry in these games, they are good as morale shocks, but for example hammer and anvil strikes basically don't work, or they work sort of strangely in Empire and Napoleon. It's not as if they are some sort of big game changer, whereas the square formation just completely nullifies cavalry. So there we go. And in Empire Total War you can form a square whenever, wherever, however you want, whereas in Napoleon you can't form squares just on a whim. You actually have to be disengaged from melee combat to do that, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. There you go. As I was yapping about cavalry being completely pointless, they actually charged my line and dealt some nice damage. So it's not like they're completely useless, but it's better to bring hussars and sort of light cavalry to deal with enemy artillery and their skirmishers than it is to bring actual like super heavy cavalry to force a giant melee. As I said, because it's just not the time period for something like that. This Napoleonic Wars just wasn't the time period for massive cavalry charges, because the square formations just still dealt with them so efficiently. As we saw in the Battle of Waterloo, when the French, the cavalry attacks were basically nullified by the British square formations. So it is what it is. But here we are, the enemy is routing. And after a little bit of time, it's a victory, heroic victory nonetheless. Alright, so it's we lost about 600 unit, or it's almost 700, but 660, and we killed something just shy of 5,000. They didn't even have 5,000, so we killed basically all of their units, and we captured Strasbourg. So the line of our holdings in the western part of Europe, it's almost complete. All that's left is Switzerland, which, whoa, they actually have some pretty big armies. Okay, it's gonna be that's gonna be a tough nut to crack. So Switzerland and Amsterdam, but let's try, maybe we could actually try and buy Amsterdam. Let's actually see. Prussia, let's give them some technology and let's offer some payment. Let's say 11k. Must be rejected. Let's try again. Let's give them 20k this time. I mean, they're our allies against the fight against the French, so there it's okay to give them money. And let's request Amsterdam this time. No, unfortunate. Let's try go for the Russians this time. Let's offer them 20k. The Russians tend not to have such a good economy. 20k, regions, Rumelia. Unacceptable. Okay, so no trading of regions, unfortunately. Even though it's a pretty good price, 20k, you know, for Istanbul. But oh well, what can you do? This army over here, it's gonna stay put because it covers basically 4 directions from which the French could come. It covers Croatia, Austria, Hungary, and Transylvania. If we move towards Croatia, which would be sort of a logical choice, then an army could come from Transylvania and could completely wipe Belgrade. But as you can see, the Austrians lost all holdings that they had. The only one they have left is Venice. They have such a stacked number of troops here. I don't think the French are going to have an easy time busting through here. So I think our flank here is secure for the time being. And I think after we deal with the French over here, our next logical step is going to be actually attacking Switzerland from the south and from the north. But that's for the future episode. And for the time being, I guess we can, yeah, end turn, and next turn we're gonna move against Corsica, I think. Basically, yeah. Nothing needs to be built really, so let's just defend our holdings and move against. Oh, there we go. Actually, managed to catch one of my ships. Let's see, can they make it? Yeah, they probably can. The navies in this game have such a huge range, but it's just one merchantman. They have a whole bunch of merchantmen anyway, so it doesn't matter. If we lose that one little ship, we'll still carry the day. I don't think they actually have any ports left, so I wonder where where that merchantman trade is actually going. I don't think the French have any ports left, actually. No, they don't. Oh, they have Croatia. Okay, so they have Croatia. This one undeveloped this one undeveloped part is the only one that the French have. Okay, so that's something, I guess. Let's actually go. Let's attack Corsica. Let's finally get it. And they have a whole bunch of militia. They have a whole bunch of militia. I guess just to garrison the island. Let's actually try and auto-resolve. There we go. Auto-resolve finished. Try and wipe this last unit over. Let's wipe it out. And let's build this province up a tiny bit. Actually get a trading port. And there we go. So against the French, the only region that's left for us to capture would be, well, it's Hungary, Croatia, and Austria. Against the sort of mainland, the mainland of France, or what's European France, or whatever you want to call it, that doesn't really matter for us anymore. The only thing is here, but before that, I think the Russians are gonna probably capture it, or maybe the Prussians are gonna actually make a comeback. But we've dealt the French such a massive blow. I don't think they have really they don't have like a safe industrial base that France is in this game, which is kind of unassailable. Of course, the British can assail it anytime, but it's a little bit unassailable from the east, because you have to grind through all these tiny German cities to get to France. So I think it might be actually opportune to just request peace, or request peace more rather. And okay, request peace technology. Let's actually pay them off, because I don't feel like fighting the French. They're still a major force. There we go. French peace secured. Let's start trading with them, why not? And just to make up the money difference. I don't mind if the French continue to rumble around Central Europe. It doesn't really matter to us. Next on the chopping block is probably going to be Spain, to be honest. Because that's the next like biggest threat that we have, or maybe even Britain. But I think Britain is going to be maybe last. Depends on how the situation here in the Balkans develops. If the French manage to capture Wallachia and Istanbul, then we're definitely going to go against them. Maybe next up we go Spain, then move against the French again to capture Austria, Hungary, and Croatia, and Transylvania, obviously. And then we go against the British. I don't know, but that's for the future. Next up is going to be Spain. You know what? I just realized we could probably try and buy Croatia and the rest from the French. So let's just give them, let's say, 15k. Because it's not like it's a hugely rich region. And I'll reject without... Okay, let's try a bunch of these. Let's try getting Wallachia. Let's give him 20k this time. Maybe the AI will finally give us a region. Rejected. Okay, let's try Hungary for 30k. For 30k, let's try Hungary. Why not? Just so I don't have to... Okay, so we can't. Okay, so they don't want to give us anything. Okay, that's very nice of them. Let's try again. Let's give them payment. 30k for Wallachia. just so we could avoid a war, because I don't really feel like fighting one. Unacceptable. So the AI isn't willing to give us anything. Okay, so we're definitely gonna have to go to war for those regions. Unfortunately, you know, I tried diplomacy, I tried all kinds of things, but we're just gonna have to go to war. Okay, but one region I was able to buy is Gibraltar from the Spanish, so maybe we could buy more from the Spanish. See if we try to buy former Aragon. How would that go? Maybe that's too much? But at least we got Gibraltar. Unacceptable. Okay, but we do have Gibraltar, so we do have another staging point for our attack against the Spanish when the time comes. Or maybe we'll just lose it immediately, but I think I'll actually reinforce it because it allows us to march from the north and from south. So it'll be an interesting three-pronged attack against the Spanish and then eventually against the Portuguese, but we will definitely win this. Alright, so time to take out the Swiss. Let's go to Switzerland. Very friendly. Well, that's not gonna be the case for much longer. The break alliance, French Empire, give them some technology, offer some payment. There we go. Break alliance, Kingdom of Spain, give them some payment. There we go. Cancel trade agreement. Very wonderful. Declare war. See, that's Napoleonic diplomacy for you. There we go. Bam. We have a massive superiority victory. Wonderful. Besiege the settlement. March forward with our troops. Let's march forward. Besiege Switzerland on all sides. Really don't want them getting any sort of ideas. Peacefully occupy. Wonderful. Absolutely swimming. And now the Russians are actually friendly towards us, probably because we keep we keep hammering all the enemies that they have. But no need for there to be a military building here. Let's see, how many casualties did we sustain? Quite a bit. Let's actually move some of these forces around. And 3 infantry units, 1, 2, 3, bam, there we go. This is a full stack army and it can start marching down south against the Spaniards. These armies, they can move against Spain too. Why not? Let's make it a big old invasion force, just to really show who's boss over here. And these armies can stay put. There we go. It's a very strange thing to have a logging camp in the middle of Switzerland, which gives bonuses to naval gives them naval units recruitment cost, when these guys almost never go outside of their little hill. But there we go. Switzerland is ours, and I think that's where I'll leave it off for today. Next time we go against we're definitely gonna go against the Spanish. Then probably against the French again, just to capture the remaining settlements here. Maybe against the Prussians, maybe against the Russians. We'll see how things pan out. But anyway, thanks Kings for watching, and I'll see you next time.